Good morning and welcome to this morning's Eye Opener, September 14th, 2021. I am coming to you live from Washington, D.C. this morning. I am here with our committee of 100 folks, which is the top 100 CEOs across the country. We have been here for a few days now, enjoying all of D.C., which is starting to open up a little bit, but also just really getting to talk to other fellow chambers of commerce, economic development officers from across the country to really discuss about what's going on in the recovery, what's going on in their communities, and what we might be able to take from them to bring to Battle Creek in the greater Battle Creek area, in addition to what we're doing locally and moving forward. So it's been a great couple of days here in DC. Lots of fun activities, of course, that go along with being in a meeting setting. We met with the director of the CDC yesterday and had lots of conversations there. Just a mass abundance of knowledge that has come through over the last few days. So I apologize. I am actually in a hotel room and I'm hoping that the internet connection is a-okay with everybody. So thank you for bearing with me through my technology issues I may have in the future. So again, welcome to the Eye Opener. We had originally asked if our members wanted to see this Eye Opener to be done in virtual format, a hybrid format, or an in-person. Overwhelmingly, our members were split between virtual and a hybrid model. And then our board also voted and said, I just think that indicates that people still aren't ready to meet in person quite yet. So we have tabled that. And so we are coming to you on a virtual platform today, September 14th. So we will be reassessing again on when we will go back to the live. It could be October, it could be November. We're just going to keep looking at that moving forward. Today is a very full agenda, so I want to get through all of that. Eventually, come on. Okay, there you go. So our introduction is coming up, and who's in the Zoom. Our new members will go over our member anniversaries, the ribbon cuttings that we've had, our upcoming events, and then we will have our wonderful speakers today, which is why all of you are on today. Thank you to Mike and to Ben, who are going to be talking about our economic outlook for 2021 in Calhoun County. I know that that is a great thing for us to all learn a little bit more about and where we are going and where we've been. And then we will open it up for questions and answers. So as always, we always ask who's in the Zoom, just like we used to do when we were in person, of who's in the room. So there are a couple things that we want to make sure that we do with this, which is if you will include your name, your title, your organization, and then if your organization has current open positions. So just a yes or a no, you don't have to say anything more than that, or you could say, yes, we have 20, yes, we have 4, yes, we have 5, but not a long drawn out about what those positions are, just if there is open positions. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Kathy Zenda-Wilson, you are first on my list.
Good morning, everyone. Kathy Zenda-Wilson, co-executive director of BC Pulse, co-director of our Great Start Collaborative for Calhoun County, and also Ward 4 City Commissioner for the city of Battle Creek. And we do not have any openings that I'm aware of. I'm sure the city does, but Rebecca will get to that.
Teresa Durham.
Good morning, everyone. Teresa Durham with the KCC Foundation. And yes, the college has openings, and Eric Green is also in the room, and he may expound on that.
Great. Jen Bamba.
Good morning. I'm Jen Bamba. I am the Community Development Director for Calhoun County, and we do have openings even in our community development organization.
Leah Ortiz.
Good morning, Leah Ortiz with the ARC of Calhoun County. We do have openings, and you can find those on our website.
And Leah is also a proud Battle Creek Area Chamber board member.
I am, thank you.
Kelly Scott.
Good morning, Kelly Scott, Calhoun County Administrator Controller. We have at least 25 positions open at the county, and definitely check out our website for more details.
Great. Chris Sargent.
Good morning, Chris Sargent, CEO for United Way. Yes, we have openings, and right above my head is the link to our website. Thank you.
Wonderful. Rebecca Fleury.
Good morning. It's Rebecca Fleury. I'm the city manager for the city of Battle Creek, and absolutely we have openings. Please visit the city's website.
TR Shaw.
Good morning. I'm TR Shaw, Shaw Communication. It's just my wife and I, so we really don't have many openings unless you want to come by our house in the morning. So thanks.
Wonderful. And then we have Al Shiflett.
Good morning, Al Shiflett, Director for Community Engagement with the Grand Valley State University Battle Creek Regional Outreach Center. And we have 5 current openings for our little center.
Wonderful. Norris Lindsay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Norris Lindsay. I'm a chamber ambassador. I'm also a state licensed realtor. So yes, I suppose there are job openings.
Great. All right, Scott Cubberly. You're on mute.
Hi, Scott Cubberly, Business and Industry Liaison for Kellogg Community College. And as stated, yes, we have open positions.
Great. Mary Fortney.
Morning, Mary Fortney, Program Development Coordinator for Disability Network Southwest Michigan. We just filled our CEO position. So we have no current openings at this time.
Wonderful. Bryant Phillips.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bryant Phillips. I'm the Director of Human Resources at Firekeepers. And yes, we have about 300 openings currently.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Thanks.
Helen Guzzo.
Hi, Helen Guzzo from Calhoun County Senior Services. Our team of 4 is fully staffed, but the county does have lots of openings.
Great. Greg Moore.
Good morning, Greg Moore, Community Affairs Manager for Consumers Energy. And like obviously a company our size, we always have openings. So I have just dropped the site into the chat.
Great, thank you. Dan Dunn.
Yes, good morning. Dan Dunn, Vice President of Human Resources at Comerica Bank. And as said before, because of our size, we always have openings as well, and you can go to our website.
Great. Beth Pung.
Beth Pung, Operations Specialist at the Battle Creek Area Chamber of Commerce. I don't think we have any openings.
All right, April Gordon.
Good morning, April Gordon. I'm the success coach for the Southwest Michigan Employer Resource Network in the Battle Creek area. I'm with WE Upjohn Institute, and yes, we do have current openings.
Great. Eric Green. Still can't hear you, Eric.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. My name is Eric Green. I'm the Vice President for Strategy at Kellogg Community College. And yes, we currently have 3 openings at KCC that we're advertising for. And if you don't mind, I'll also answer on behalf of Lakeview School District. I am the school board president at Lakeview, and we do have openings at Lakeview as well, especially for bus drivers.
Great. Teresa from PTAC.
Hi, Teresa Cheney Huggett. I am a PTAC, procurement counselor with Southwest Michigan PTAC, and currently we do not have openings.
Okay. Jim Hadsma.
Hi, Jim Hadsma, State House. I'm a state representative. I don't have openings in my State House district office presently. Thanks.
Great. Anna Bronsink. I'm sorry, I totally slaughtered that, Anna.
You're okay, Kara. Anna Bronsink. I am with Michigan Works Southwest One Stop Manager, and we do currently have 1 opening.
Great. Ted Deering.
Good morning, everyone. Ted Deering, Assistant City Manager for the City of Battle Creek, and as indicated, we do have openings.
Great. Alicia Marvin.
Hi, good morning. Alicia Marvin with the Community Coordinator with Firekeepers Casino Hotel. As Bryant said, yes, we have lots of openings. You can either go to firekeeperscasino.com or we have a job fair today until 11 or from 3 to 7 this afternoon.
Wonderful. Jeremy Wilson.
Good morning, Jeremy Wilson, Director of Purchasing for Denso North America. We have hundreds of open positions across North America. I am also a proud member of the Chamber Board of Directors. Thank you.
Awesome. And Burger Judge.
And Burger Judge.
All right, Jane. Oh, goodness, Jane, I'm going to slaughter your last name. Is it Perrick?
Oh, it's pre, Kara.
I'm sorry. I'm like,
No, it's all right.
I was like, I'm so gonna slaughter that.
It's all right. So I use my married name when I write, but I'm the project editor and writer for On the Ground Battle Creek. Hopefully all of you listening today are familiar with us, and I'm just here in a reporting role.
Wonderful. All right, Karen Ryle.
Good morning. I'm Karen Ryle with Partners Insurance Agency of Southwest Michigan. And Partners does not have openings, but the parent company Integrated Health Partners has some openings, and you can just go to the Integrated Health Partners website.
Great, thank you. Billy Beers.
Good morning, Billy Beers with the Battle Creek Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications, and I am currently not aware of any open positions.
All right, Jeff Campbell.
Good morning, Jeff Campbell, Horizon Bank, Vice President, Commercial Loan Officer. And we do have multiple openings. Go to our website, horizonbank.com.
Great. Joe Hune. All right, Nathan Vensky.
Yep, Nathan Vensky, Associate Dean of the RMTC Industrial Trades Education and Workforce Solutions at Kellogg Community College. And as stated, yes, we do have a few openings.
Great. Karen Todd.
Good morning, Karen Todd, the Office of Senator John Bison. No current openings in the office. There are always openings in the member offices in the Michigan Senate. Of course, those are out of the district. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Michelle Williamson.
I'm Michelle Williamson, the CEO of Community Action, and we have about 40 openings, mostly in early childhood.
Great. John Gata.
Good morning, John Gata. I work for RDS Engineering at Kellogg Company, and I'm a chamber board member.
Great. Well, I have a Kim's laptop.
Morning, Kimberly Way here, City Council member for Springfield. And I don't know if we have any openings. That would go to Vester Davis, our city manager, to answer that.
Wonderful. I also have Randy Case on.
Hello, it's Randy Case. I didn't quite hear you before. Architecture plus design, and we have no openings at this time.
Great. Sherilyn Davis.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here as an ambassador for Rotary International, and I know many of you are members of the Rotary Clubs, but I welcome anyone here who is not, and we do wonderful service in the community. Thank you.
Great. Tiffany Blackman.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tiffany Blackman. I am the founder and CEO of two businesses, Blackman Capacity and Solutions, where I do diversity, equity, inclusion training and small business development training. And then a new business, Bread and Basket LLC. We have a grand opening this week, so feel free to stop in. And no, I would love to say that I have openings, but right now I don't. Always interested in internships and fellowships though. So if you have young women, especially women of color and young girls of color. I would love to connect with them.
Great. Katie Reasons.
Hi, I'm Katie Reasons with the Calhoun County Democrats, and we are always looking for new members.
Great. And I know Lisa is driving. So Lisa Damerow with Remax Parrot. Remax, I think I said it all right, Lisa, and you can correct me if I'm wrong later. And then J.R. Harper.
Hi, J.R. Harper, President of Envision Advertising Design and Video Production.
Is there anyone I missed at the introductions today?
Hi, Kara. Senator John Bison from my office.
Awesome. Wonderful. Thank you. All right. And then I didn't introduce our two presenters today just because they're going to introduce themselves here in just a little bit. I see Mary is on as well.
Yeah. Hi, Kara. Mary Jednich, Regional Manager for Senator Stabenow, and nothing currently open.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. All right. Thank you. Big round of applause to all of you guys for being here this morning. We greatly appreciate all of your time that you're putting into being here. As I mentioned, my name is Kara Beer. I am the President and CEO of the Battle Creek Area Chamber of Commerce here. This picture I actually took the other day, which is on top of the U.S. Chamber office, overlooking the White House and the Washington Monument. It's a great little venue that we get to go to every year. But yeah, so I wanted to share that with you. Our next thing is our new members that we have here in the room. We want to say welcome to Handmat Brewing, Breeze, Simply Sensational Berries, T-Mobile, BC Cargo Marketplace. So there are 7 different businesses within the cargo units that are members of the chamber. Forefront Dermatology, S&R Products, Bread and Basket, who you heard from Tiffany Blackman, Bushman Family Chiropractic, and the United States Army BC Recruiting Station. So a big round of applause to our new members this month. So thank you all for being here and welcome to the Chamber Network. Also, we are very proud to announce that we have some member anniversaries this month. For 20 years of continuous membership, Kellogg Community Credit Union, 15 years of continuous membership goes to Banky Trucking, Inc. And 10 years is the ARC of Calhoun County, Mike's Team Active Bikes, and the Arbors of Battle Creek. Thank you all for joining us and being a part of our chamber network for all of these years. We greatly appreciate it. And a big round of applause for them. All right, so next up is our ribbon cuttings and grand opening celebrations. So this is a really busy time for the Chamber of Commerce and our ambassadors, always in the summer. We are able to host ribbon cutting celebrations and highlight significant parts about their business so that they have a history with our organization, but also in our community. Ribbon cuttings are open to all of our members and the community. So we always encourage folks to be a part of that. And we also want to be part of that celebration. One of the things that we've added since probably since the beginning of COVID, we started doing Facebook Live. So every time we do a ribbon cutting, we do that Facebook Live and we share that with our members so that they can experience all of those new openings, grand openings in a safety capacity. So you can check out all of our Facebook Live ribbon cuttings through our Facebook page as well as our YouTube channel. Some of the ribbon cuttings that we've had, our first one was BC Cargo Marketplace. The Chamber staff and ambassadors, we enjoyed the launch of the 7 entrepreneurs in downtown Battle Creek at the BC Cargo unit. This was on Thursday, June 24th. The marketplace has a variety of entrepreneurships from offering suites, home decor, book, unique gifts, and more. And that is on the corner of Hamblin Avenue here in Battle Creek, right across the street from the post office. And as you can see, we've given you that location, a location with McCamley and Hamblin in the picture. So congratulations to the BC Cargos and the 7 entrepreneurs that are starting and launching their businesses there. Next up was Handmat Brewing. That's where the Chamber ambassadors and staff all were invited to Handmat Brewing's official grand opening. As we all know, Handmat opened during the pandemic. but decided to do almost a year to the date of them opening a grand opening celebration on July 9th, where we did a wonderful ribbon cutting. They had outdoor patio open. They were serving their wonderful beer, and we were able to enjoy in those festivities. So welcome to Handmat Brewing and all that attended. Next up is P&K Deals. This is the official ribbon cutting celebration. They are located at 2545 Capitol Avenue Southwest. This is a great opportunity. We had great weather, Chamber of Commerce weather, and the community really came out to support and enjoy. We had another one of our members from the BC Cargo Units, which is Cakes by Boo, that provided cupcakes to this grand opening. P&K Deals offers a variety of quality products, including electronics, household items, apparel, shoes, and more at competitive prices. So if you haven't stopped into P&K Deals, they are located in the strip mall where you would find Circa 6 right next door to them, as well as Damerow, and across the parking lot from Red Lobster. So if you are looking to stop in, P&K Deals has got a great location right there on Capitol Avenue. Next up was Salon K. We all know that Salon K has been open, but they have a new location. If you haven't been downtown lately, you would know that they have moved down the street, down to 66 Michigan Avenue East, right there. And so we were able to do a grand reopening of the Salon K on Wednesday, August 25th. Really celebrated. She had 20% off all of her products, door prizes, and raffles during the celebration. Also with Salon K, they are accepting our chamber gift certificates. So if you have not used your chamber gift certificates that we have out, which is $70,000 out in the community, Salon K is one of those locations. Also, we were in attendance at the Catching the Dream, which was the open house and grand opening celebration as the Early Learning Neighborhood Collaborative, which is known really as ELNCBC. It's a project of New Level Sports Ministries. It opened its brand new Catching the Dream Learning Center. We made national history. It's the first Burmese owned and operated early childhood center within the United States. And it is a multilingual and bicultural program. And it's located at the Burma Center, which is at 465 Upton Avenue in Battle Creek. It was a great celebration that we had that day. So congratulations to Catching the Dream. Also, just some upcoming events that we have coming up. This Friday, September 17th, we will be at Bread and Basket right there at 38 Michigan Ave East. This is a wonderful new store right in downtown, and Tiffany Blackman is on. We will be doing this ribbon cutting at 11:30. And we will be going Facebook Live. So if you are able to join us, come on down. I know Tiffany has some great deals going on down there, as well as just check out a new store in our storefronts downtown. Then we also have our ribbon cutting celebration at Breeze on Thursday, September 23rd, 2021. This will be at noon. There will be a tour as well if you are interested in that, and we will be doing Facebook Live. So again, Thursday, September 23rd for Breeze celebration. Another exciting thing that we have is Silent Observer. We'll be hosting our golf outing on Wednesday, September 22nd at Riverside Golf Club. If you are not a golfer but still want to donate to the cause, Silent Observer is our nationally recognized organization that we have program. We started Silent Observer. They have now morphed into a couple different things, which is Crime Stoppers that you might be might know. But Battle Creek Area Chamber of Commerce Foundation actually started Silent Observer in 1970, and it's the oldest standing organization like that. The money that we raise during our fundraisers and grant writing and donations actually goes towards our reward program. So when you see a Fugitive of the Month, or you have students in schools, we have a liaison in all of our school systems. We do a program called Fast 50, which pays out $50 cash to students that help keep the community safe. And when I say community, meaning the school. And so that's how that program works. We will be doing a golf outing on the September 22nd, and we are looking for more teams to be a part of that. All right. Oh my goodness, come on. All right, and then at this time, I'd like to turn over our presentation, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen here in just a second, but I do want to make sure I introduce our speakers. I know that Mike is going to actually share his screen with us today. Thank you all for being a part of our eye opener today. Again, we mentioned that it's the Calhoun County Economic Outlook of 2021. Today's presenters are Dr. Michael Horrigan, who is the president of the W.E. Upjohn Institute, and Ben Damerow, who is the director of Michigan Works Southwest, as well as W.E. Upjohn Institute. We're excited to have both of our guests here today, and I'm gonna do a stop share for you. And I am allowing Mike, if you wanna go ahead. Are you able to?
Still says, hey Karen, it still says it's disabled.
All right, will you try it again?
Okay. Yep, there we go.
Awesome, wonderful.
Okay, can you see the slide?
I can.
Cool, okay. So I'm going to go into screen mode. And Kara, we end at 9 o'clock, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I will probably speak for between 15 and 20 minutes. And Ben, does that give you enough time?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that works.
And Kara, I do want to say if you're in Washington for the rest of the week and you have a chance to go to the Washington Hotel on 15th Street, they have a rooftop bar that overlooks the mall that is the same kind of view that you showed in your slides. So I highly recommend it.
I was there the other day, and then also on top of the Spy Museum, the International Spy Museum was last night's dinner and reception.
Oh,
and
excellent.
Kay Adams was also in there.
Good. Well, I am absolutely delighted to be here today. I've not had a chance to talk to many of you. I recognize many names, but many are new. So this is great, a great opportunity to introduce myself to the community. What I want to do in this talk is first frame it. What's going on in the country? What's going on in the US? And I know Kara has been hearing a lot about that this week. And taking that framework and then asking, how does that translate into what we're seeing in Calhoun County? In particular, looking at recent trends, sort of the up to where we are, and then looking at job postings, sort of what the current activity looks like. And then to the extent that we have models that allow us to make forecasts, which is one of the things that we do at Upjohn, show some forecasts for the next couple of years. So to begin, let's look at the national economy. I will be taking a look at recent trends and forecasts. And one of the things that I think is really interesting was an exercise I did last year, but it still resonates. Between February and April, we lost over 22 million jobs in a 2-month period. It was just dramatic. And I took a look at basically industries where there was job loss, and there were a few that actually had job gains. But then I divided them into whether or not those industries are high, middle, or low wage industries. And I just did this statistically based on the average wage being paid in the industry as compared to the overall average wage. So if you were less than 2/3 of the national average, I put you in the low wage category. So it wasn't a judgment call on my part. It was just a pure exercise in statistics. But what I found from that is that 64% were in the low wage category in terms of the job losses between February and April, and pretty much the rest were in the middle wage category. The middle wage was between 2/3 and 1.8 of the average. So what does that mean practically? Well, I think one of the things that helps is when you look at the actual industries. And in this case, and I have the full list, if anyone wants it, I'm happy to email it afterwards. But I took a look at just the ones that accounted for the top half of the job loss. And you can see it was a lot of service industries, which typically are lower wage, restaurants, other amusement and recreation industries, travel accommodation, clothing stores. But you also, in personal care services, you also have office of dentists, childcare services, which I know is a real concern in terms of the pay of childcare establishments. and the work of our pulse unit that is part of Upjohn, and I think Kathy is here today. But basically, we have a lot of industries that, in actually 10 industries only, that accounted for over half of the job loss, which is, I think, quite remarkable. So this chart, let me just spend 15 seconds describing how it's constructed. If anyone's tried to put together a chart of job loss, when most job losses are 100,000, and then all of a sudden you've got 2 months with 22 million, it's hard to put on the same graph. So what I did here is I said, let December 2007, the employment level, equal 100. And then I divided everything else by the December 2007 level. So this is relative to 100 as it occurred back at the end of 2007. And you can see in gray, and Kara, can you see my cursor? Oh, she's on mute, sorry.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so the gray here is the recession. And this little gray here, according to the National Bureau of Economic Research, the recession was from February to April of 2020. Short, but very, very devastating. So you can see the recession with the job loss, and then the slow recovery, and then what I would call expansion. And then by February 2020, we had hit 110 relative to 100. That is 10% higher than the level that we had back in 2007. And then the bottom dropped out, 22.2 million jobs lost. And then it's been recovering. It's been uneven. We're at about 76% of the jobs lost. The way I would describe what happened in this country is that we had a big gain in April and May, June. And then the gain started getting smaller and smaller until we had a decline in December. And then the gains have actually been picking up, but sort of up and down. Last month's 235,000 was much weaker than the previous month of over 900,000. One of the things that a lot of folks look at is the unemployment rate. And the unemployment rate rose dramatically, and the gray bars are in the recession to 14.8%. It's come down steadily. It was 5.2% in August. But one of the things I want to caution you about is that if you were laid off last February, last March, last April, and you were expecting recall, you were on temporary layoff, then you would be classified as unemployed. But if you were laid off and you weren't expecting recall, your boss said, look, I don't know if I'm going to reopen, and you weren't looking for work, then you actually are classified as out of the labor force. And between February and April of last year, the out of the labor force group grew by over 6 million. So unemployment is one measure, but I think in order to get an understanding, we have to look at a lot of different measures of the labor market. One measure that I like a lot is the employment population ratio. This is a pretty pure measure in the sense that how many folks are employed and divided by the population. So if there's an issue between being unemployed or out of the labor force, this statistic kind of eliminates that confusion. And you can see in this country, and I'll show you a Calhoun slide in a minute, in this country, it fell dramatically during the Great Recession. It really didn't recover much. It was a very slow jog up. And then it fell last spring, and its recovery has really been only partial. And that is, I think, is something to look at for both the nation and, as I'll show you, for Calhoun. One of the things I've been really concerned about, and now I have to say this is a little bit of hopeful news, is during the Great Recession, we had a tremendous increase in long-term unemployment. People unemployed 27 weeks or over. And that started happening in this recession too. We hit about 43%. And I was really concerned that we were going to have this generation of people with long-term unemployment, atrophied skills, having a hard time getting back into jobs. And it's still the case. It's still something to worry about. But in recent months, there's been some progress. That percent has declined. And in August, it was 37%. The thing I was talking about, though, people out of the labor force, take a look at this chart. It rose. The number, this is a level, the number of people out of the labor force, and then with this caveat, they want a job now. So this is a very specific group. They want a job now. They would take one, except they've got barriers to looking for work. And that is really the lifeblood of the work that we do at the Institute, the work that Ben does with his group, Business Services, the group that we do in the neighborhood hubs in Calhoun, in Battle Creek, for example. But this group, they can cite reasons like family responsibility, childcare, et cetera. This group went to 10 million, and then there was a bit of recovery. And last October, it's really has not budged at all. The only progress that we have seen is in the last 2 months. So it's again a slightly hopeful sign, but I'm very anxious to see if that will continue. But this is a group that is ready and able to work, except they've got significant barriers. The news that dominated last year was unemployment insurance, the initial claims, the continued claims, and I could look at a lot of charts here, but the one I like to look at is how many people are still here. How many continued claims do we have for unemployment? And these are traditional claims. I know we have the new ones for the self-employed and folks who have exhausted benefits, but of these measures, they're all trending about the same. The number of people who have continuing claims has fallen steadily, although the fall has really become a little bit more, has slowed down quite a bit in recent weeks. So let me take a look at the national forecast, and then I'll talk about Battle Creek. In terms of the national forecast, we have a couple different slices of the pie, if you will. One is to take a look at the traditional forecast that comes out of RSQE. RSQE is the Research Seminar in Quantitative Economics at the University of Michigan. They do budget forecasts for the state of Michigan. And what they do is they revise the forecast, I think it's about every quarter. And they've been revising it depending on sort of the update news from the recession-induced pandemic. So and I think they have one coming out shortly. This one is from May. And you can see basically the message here, if you take a look at GDP, decline in 20, bounce back in 21, and then kind of a resumption to, this may be still a little bit strong, but a resumption to what may be returning to normal. And you can see that in a lot of the different statistics, like vehicle sales, for example, bounce back. The unemployment rate, and here the unemployment rate has actually fallen even below the forecast for 2021 because we have more data as of August. The one I'd like to point out is inflation. A lot of folks are concerned about inflation, and the big question out there, is this inflation, or is this kind of a temporary surge in prices? And I used to run all the inflation programs for the country. And in looking at the data and talking to my colleagues at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, what seems to be emerging is that there's 3 or 4 areas where prices are really having big increases. For example, used car sales is one. In addition, and this is important because this is where I think is going to have an effect on inflation over the coming months. Besides just specific types of areas like car sales, there's also a lot of supply side constraints, a lot of just bottlenecks in the supply side. What that tends to do is raise prices. It doesn't necessarily tend to keep the increase in prices steady at a high rate for month after month after month. I think to get there, you need the inflation psychology of inflation to be rooted in every contract that we have in the United States. And if you take a look at the number of items that have seen price increases, it's getting bigger, but it's not dominating the entire list of items that are in the Consumer Price Index. So my read on this is that we still have, I think, a hope that inflation is going to return back to normal. Plus, to be honest, the Fed is actually not completely upset that we have a little bit of inflation just because it's been so low for so many years. And the thing that they're very concerned about is getting into a deflationary period. So in terms of the economic forecast, we use at the Upjohn Institute the REMI model. And with the REMI model, it's basically the regional economic modeling indicators. It's a forecast based on a full model of the economy. So it's not just like an input-output matrix. It's looking at the overall economy, the demand and supply, and looking at growth by sector. And basically that bounce back I talked about, this is the national forecast. You can see the decline and the bounce back. And really I'd call this a modest trend going on. It looks like we'll recover the employment loss, the employment where we were in 2019 by 2023. And if you take a look at this by industry, basically the message is most industries will recover, full recovery by 2025, with the exception of, for the country, information, manufacturing, wholesale trade, and real estate and rental and leasing. And keep that manufacturing result in mind because that has an important analogy to Battle Creek. Let's take a look at Calhoun County. Now, I do want to note that there are a variety of data that you have. A lot of the data that comes out of the federal government is for Calhoun County, for the MSA. There will be other data that we can find for Battle Creek, but this will be sort of a mix that I'll be reporting. again, one of the things that is important to look at is the unemployment rate. The employment rate hit nearly 25% last year, which is, and the unemployment here, if you look, it bounces quite a bit. That's because these are not seasonally adjusted data, but you can still see the overall trend. It has, like the national rate, has come way down, 6.6% in July, which is the latest data. That other number that I said I'd like to look at nationally and also look at for local data, the employment population ratio, like the country, it fell during the Great Recession. It had what I would call a modest recovery, and it started actually declining just a bit in the later part of this last decade. And then it just went way down and it's been partially recovered. So I think the employment population ratio is mirroring a lot of the trends that we see nationally. So this is again that 100 in December 2007. It has 3 colors. I don't know if I can name the colors, but I'll try, kind of like teal, blue, and red. The red is for the US, the dark teal is for Michigan, and the lighter teal, I guess you will, is for Calhoun County. It says the same story of a decline and a partial recovery. I think what is notable for Calhoun County is that even in the later part of this last decade, we had not recovered over that 2007 100 mark. And I know that's a concern. So we started at a lower point, went down further, and have the recovery percentage is actually similar to the nation, to Michigan. It's just, it started at a lower point. Manufacturing is sort of the same way, where we really, and in manufacturing, there's a lot of reasons. Partly automation, partly the fact that if you are a temporary help supply worker and you're working in manufacturing, you're not going to be coded to manufacturing. So it really depends on how work is organized in your firm. But still, the overall trend has been a bit lower than for the country. And Michigan itself actually has, in terms of recovery, performed better than the United States. And the recovery has actually been stronger in Michigan than it has been in the US and in Calhoun County. For service providing employment, much better news in terms of where we were at the beginning of the recession. We were very close to that 100 mark. Again, the recovery has been partial. And service providing employment includes business services as well as personal services. And I'll have a chart on that in a moment. This is just based on the most recent data. And in some ways, I regret putting this slide in because this is based on a different data set that only has through the end of 2020. And it really kind of shows where we were during the hardest time of last year. And you can see there were so many industries that had not recovered at this point. But the better news, oh, sorry, I'll come to that in a minute. Let me take a look at job postings and then the forecast, and then I'll turn it over to Ben. For job postings, the basic message is that they've been relatively stable, although if you look at these peaks here, they've been increasing in recent months, which is good news, except you do hear firms telling you over and over again, I'm advertising more, but I'm having a hard time filling workers. And I think it's going to be, wages have been increasing in recent months. I think we really need to see what happens the next 2 or 3 months after the extended benefits end. Calhoun job postings have been pretty variable, but they did show some signs of increase in the beginning of 2021. The June data is a little bit lower. And then for job postings, you can see they're kind of all over the place. We have the healthcare industries in terms of registered nurses, retail in terms of retail sales associates, production workers, truck drivers. Somebody mentioned before that there's a shortage of truck drivers, the rolling blackout streets in Richland. For me, I'm sure it's the same in Battle Creek, Kalamazoo. That is a real shortage that's going on right now. All right, so let's take a look in this with the forecast. For Calhoun, basically it's that bounce back, and then I would urge you to look at this sort of line going this way. Whoops, sorry. In terms of it's returning to trend, and I would call this a modest increase trend going forward from that's being forecasted from our model. Goods producing is really, the trend is much more secularly stable, and I think this is where you get the in terms of what's happening in manufacturing is playing a role here. For business services, this is actually dividing up services into the type of service, and this is trade between businesses, the purchase of, say, temporary help, things like that. professional businesses, services, architecture, engineering. That's actually got a much more positive outlook in terms of increasing. And then personal services the same way. And so a lot of the ribbon cuttings that you were talking about would be attached to personal service industries, for example. And I think it's great to see the vibrancy being introduced even during the pandemic into the Battle Creek community. And then in terms of recovery, most industries recover by 2025, even manufacturing. The ones that are still kind of in trouble are information, wholesale trade, retail trade, and utilities, in terms of not having a full recovery. And that is it. I will stop sharing and turn it over to my good colleague, Ben Damerow.
Thank you, Mike. And I'll condense my remarks so that we can open it up for questions. But first, I want to say happy birthday to Mike. He's celebrating his birthday today.
Hey.
Absolutely. Second, I wanted to announce we are having an outside job fair tomorrow at our Michigan Work Service Center at 200 West Van Buren Street. So that's going to be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Currently, we have 17 employers. Would love for all of you to share that with your networks. I will drop a link within the chat so that you can forward that on as well. And then my last announcement, happy to announce that Bronson is going to be recognized as the Employer of the Year with the Michigan Works Association Conference. So Bronson just does a wonderful job in taking advantage of all of the services that we offer. They're a member of our Employer Resource Network. We've worked with them to develop apprenticeships. They work with our MI Career Quest career exploration event, and obviously participate in all of our job fairs. So very excited for them to receive that honor. So with that, I will open it up to any questions for myself or Mike.
Thank you guys both so much for being a part of today's presentation. Really interesting information. Looking at these trends and what we have going on. My question for you, Mike, is based upon the information that we have there. I mean, I think all of us have that question is, are we going to be okay? Because it is a lot of employers that are saying, I've had job openings, but I don't have people. So, what is your thought pattern on that? What is your prediction? I mean, I know we'll be okay, but.
So I don't know if this is a function of having yet another birthday. I can't believe how many have rolled around, but I would counsel patience. I think in the labor market, it takes time for labor market dynamics to work out, and it takes very little time for the press to get a hold of a theme and start announcing it. So absolutely, firms are having trouble finding employees, but it's at the same time that the market is beginning to work things out. So if you take a look at wages weren't doing much at all through all of last year. And remember I said in December, we had an employment decline. All of a sudden, and this is partly the confidence coming back with the vaccine, the initial reopening without hesitation, there was really strong employment gains, and wages started going up, which to me suggested that firms were trying a lot of things, not just wages, but they were also trying bonuses. They were trying to do overtime hours, hiring through contract workers. And if you start looking at all those different dimensions, the different ways that a firm trying to find workers were in the market trying to do this, they were all showing the increased economic activity, job postings. The fact is sometimes it takes a while for those dynamics to work out. And when you have extended benefits where people are worried about coming back to work, I think it sometimes takes time. So I'm really anxious to see what happens with now that you have sort of the end of the bonus period for unemployment insurance. And the Delta variant is the big sort of question mark in this issue. But if we can get back to the point where the workplace is viewed as a safe place, which I think for a lot of industries, they've done a terrific job, and it is, then maybe we'll see with the rise in wages that are being offered, there'll be a response from the market. It's just not going to happen instantaneously. And the 235 last month was a bit disappointing. The previous month was over 900. So that's showing a Delta variant response. And I think that may give us a bit of a retreat. Long run, I think we're going to be okay. I just think that I have faith in the science. I have faith that we will get to the point where the coronavirus is not transmitting like wildfire through our communities. But I think just given the current situation, it's going to take some time.
And my last question I have for you, because this was actually talked about yesterday in great detail here, looking at what minimum wage is, I don't know if Mike or Ben, you have that where we've looked at what our minimum wage is really averaging out to be right now in our Calhoun County area.
Well, so we've got the state minimum, but then in terms of what is the equilibrium wage that is being paid, we actually have some, and I don't have the number on top of my head, but we have some detailed data that we can provide, both just what's going on with an average wage, but also what's going on by occupation. So every May, there's data that comes out for over 750 occupations in the United States. These data also come out for every MSA, including Calhoun County, or the Battle Creek MSA. And what it provides is for every single occupation that they measure in the Calhoun MSA, it gives you the average, the median, it gives you the wage at the 10th percentile, the 25th, 75th, and 90th. So if anybody wants to take a look at what people are paying different occupations in Calhoun County, based on the most recent data, and the most recent that came out was May 2021, we have it, and we're happy to provide it. And if you want to know what to pay entry workers, we don't have new workers as a demographic in that database, but I'm pretty sure that the 10th percentile is probably a pretty good estimate of what new workers are being paid. So that's a free offer. If anybody wants those data, just contact me. We can get that data to you immediately. I can put it up on the screen if everybody wants to do a reading of the 230 occupations.
I think if you sent that to me, I could also put that out to our members in an email with the video of today, that they can go on and do that at their leisure. If you're willing to do that, that would be.
Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll provide it for Calhoun County, so it's easy. And once you read that, then I'll give you a second file with the state of Michigan. It's a bigger file and it's a little bit daunting when you first look at it. But if you see how it's organized for Calhoun, the rest will be pretty easy. You just have to filter by county.
Are there other questions?
Kara, if I might.
Yes.
Well, this is Kathy Zender-Wilson. This is less a question and more a statement, but I think this last 18 to 20 months has really shown us our dependence on an industry that's been rather invisible, which is childcare. And so the fact that it's been lifted up, we have a significant number, just like every other workplace, significant number of openings that need to be filled. And we need to really change our collective mindsets around childcare being a business that is worthy of support and development and investment. And I see some change that way. So Carrie, your question, are we going to be okay? I can only see this helping improve that sector. So it had to get really bad for us to really see how bad it was in that sector. And so I'm hopeful that change is going to happen. And I'm grateful that, I have a call tomorrow morning with Joe Sobierski. He's inviting me into a conversation with a for-profit childcare center that wants to come into town now. So this is making, we're making some waves and we're creating some change. So we need to get the investments from our feds into our community so that these childcare businesses can be sustained. And then I think from there, we need to be looking at how we can help better support all those other things that are barriers to people getting to work. Thanks.
Kathy, it's been talked about a lot this week with all of my peers from across the country, and childcare and transportation has really been lifted up in these conversations. So as barriers, as Mike said.
Eric, could I ask a question?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Eric.
Thank you. This question really for Mike. So at KCC, one of our fundamental barometers is the size and growth or lack thereof of the local population. So what has your research shown you in the past year in terms of exiting Calhoun County among residents, and what do you project for the future, the next several years?
So I don't have at the ready data on the population migration patterns in the last year. And we can certainly look to see what the most recent data tell you and get back to you. We did a report for the Kellogg Foundation where we took a look at decadal changes in population and how it was affected by different groups. And there was a decline, especially among younger age groups, so that there was a tilt towards, in terms of the remaining group being on average older after about a decade. So I think outmigration of younger individuals is still an issue. In terms of Kara's previous question of, is there hope? I think one of the infrastructure things that I'm really excited about is what kind of game changer are we going to have with broadband internet coupled with remote work. And if you take a look, there's a really interesting series that is being published every month on the percent of people who are teleworking. And it's come way down. It's down to about 14% of the employed, but it's dominated by the business services that are part of the growth projection for Calhoun County. So to the extent that you want people, or people are thinking about moving back to Michigan, and I just moved here 2 years ago, and I gotta say, I love this part of the state. It is just absolutely beautiful. And to the extent that we can attract people back to Michigan who can work remotely, I think that could be a game changer for a lot of communities. But basically, Eric, if the last year is anything like the last decade, there has been an outmigration of younger workers.
We have a question in the chat, and it says, how has the lack of employment affected and income affected our foster care system?
I am not an expert on trends in the foster care system.
Yeah, anecdotally, I mean, I'm aware that they've suffered from, lack of staff and shortages as well. But don't have any specific data in terms of how they've been impacted.
And I don't know how DSS had to react just in terms of staffing there, in terms of the pressure of the pandemic, being out of school, whether or not that, the increase in the likelihood of events that have to be investigated might have been an issue as well in foster care placement.
Great, thank you. I have one last question, and or kind of a statement more. What kinds of things is Michigan Works doing right now with workforce development and looking at different ways of increasing the workforce, from like prisoner reentry programs? I'm giving you a softball, Ben. So what kinds of unique programs are we doing here locally to try and engage more of the talent and doing second chance hiring and things along those lines?
Yeah, so we're doing everything and anything that's possible right now. We've been talking with staff and just saying, any idea that you have, please bring it up. But more specifically, I guess, to your question, Kara, so our neighborhood employment hubs that we've been operating in Battle Creek for the last 4 years is definitely seen as a best practice across the state. So not expecting individuals to come to us, which is kind of the federal model. You have the brick and mortar American Job Center and expect people to come to you. What we're doing is we're locating in the neighborhoods where we know poverty is highest, unemployment's highest, and we're partnering and trying to get the services to them. So that's one thing. And then with our clean slate pilot at the state, so there's new clean slate legislation that was enacted this year. We're going to be doing expungement events. We held the second one across the state just back in August and had over 200 individuals. So previously, only 5% of eligible individuals were taking advantage of the expungement laws, which were, if you had 2 felonies or 2 misdemeanors, you could have those expunged. Now it's 3 felonies and numerous misdemeanors that can be expunged. And the state of Michigan is providing us with resources to assist and connect people and help pay some of their fines and fees associated with expungement. So we'll be hosting another clinic in Battle Creek in the coming months.
And how could we help spread the word on that. As we know in Michigan, I know that that's one of the big questions in regards to now that marijuana has been legalized, we have a lot of folks that have that on their record that need expungement. How do we best get that information out to the community? How can we as a group that's sitting here today help benefit you?
Yeah, so I'll send you some additional information after this. It would be great if you could send it out in your recap of the event as well. And when we have the clinics, if everyone could push that information out within your networks, because you're absolutely correct, Kara. I mean, there are just numerous people who have, marijuana related and other issues that can be expunged at this time, which just makes it much easier within the hiring process. I mean, that's what the bill was all about, was trying to get more people into the workforce and make it easier for them to become employed. So that's absolutely what we want to be doing.
Absolutely. And I know that that was one of your top things that you guys actually expunged in the Kalamazoo area that day. So are there any other questions from the floor? Okay, we are about 2 minutes past, so I'm going to be respectful of your time and just say thank you both for being here, Ben and Mike. Greatly appreciate the information. Mike, if you can send me all of the presentation and those links that we talked about, I think that would be fabulous. And we'll get that out to our members so that who weren't able to be here today so that they can review. Thank you all very much for being a part of our eye opener this morning. And we look forward to seeing you at any of our ribbon cuttings. Check out Facebook Live. Got one coming up this week at Bread and Basket on Friday at 11:30. And just really thank you all for all the work that you're doing here in the community, and greatly appreciate every single one of you. Thanks and have a wonderful day and a great week.
Thank you, Kara.